Hi there, welcome to Language Pro TV. I am Adola Gold. Today we spotlight Wale Adekola, a vibrant young author, film critic, and linguist. Best known for his debut novel, Our Bovalus, an emerging literary voice. He recently visited Professor Femi Osofisan, the esteemed emeritus professor of theatre and rationalist literature, for an engaging conversation on literature, politics, and more. This exchange was facilitated by Exotic Media as part of Literature Tonight, a new initiative by Language Pro, dedicated to archiving African literary excellence. Now, let's bring you this rich and inspiring dialogue.
Professor, you've once spoken about going through difficulties, losing your father early and moving through various primary schools. In spite of all this, rather than drift, you turned towards books and made a life for yourself. In today's Nigeria, many young people use the Nigerian harsh economic reality as justification to going into internet fraud and other shortcuts. So, how would you respond to those who thought or said that your era was easier? Or what would you say to other young people going through such difficulties as you once did?
Well, I wouldn't say our era was easier. In fact, I'm not sure our era was really peculiar in any sense. I think it's normal in life. You go through difficulties and so on. The only thing is that the ethos that the society itself respects, that reflects, is the problem. In our own time, there wasn't that much, stuff about making money. Money has become the central thing in life now. Well, it wasn't like that in our time. We still had the virtues, that were our goals, So I think maybe that's the difference. But I can't imagine any era that will not have problems. For the youth growing up, even people who are rich go through difficulties.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's not just that. I think it's the values that society itself now reflects. That is the problem. We are so much dedicated on money now, on ostentation and so on. I think that's the problem.
Okay, sir. Many of your plays, such as We Surveyed of Sholari, Issue and the Vagabond Minstrels, etc., they have this kind of political voice. They resonate around new colonial themes and activism. However, in one of your texts, a poetry text, Minted Coin, you drifted from those themes partially to love themes, reportedly motivated by one of your female friends who challenged your capacity for personal joy and vulnerability. However, still in that text and other texts like Remember Tenderness, Jeweler of the Night, and others, we still have some kind of political and activist undertones. So is it that your poetic voice is so fundamentally political, or do you perhaps believe that even love is actually deeply political in this world that we inhabit?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can escape from politics. Politics is so much around us now. Even it dictates who you will marry, who you will fall in love with. Because the political situation in the country is such that everything, it has been dominated by this politics, by political choice. So I don't think so. I mean, a human being is a comprehensive thing. You can't say it's political, it's this and that. It's everything, So what happens is that the poetry is a different side of me, from the political one. But it doesn't mean then that you undermine what you are, that you are thinking about politics. So you can't separate the two. So that's it. It's not that politics is so essential now, that you can't escape it. And if we don't get our society right, the problems which bedeviling us will never be solved. You know. I'm not. I mean, politics defined in a very wide, the way we govern ourselves, the way we think about the future, about our way we organize for our youngs to develop and so on. The problem of feeding, the problem of what the future will be, how our society will get organized, these are all politics, And there's no way that you say even if you are going to eat, you will think of politics, Where's the cost of food? So politics is everything, I don't think you can evade it in any way, But the emphasis is different. When I'm thinking of society, for example, I think the first theater is what comes to my mind. And I respond first spontaneously with theater, but then different sides at different other moments. I'm not really fundamentally thinking of the theater first. I'm thinking of maybe the human being, the relationship that we develop. Well, so it's a different aspect, but it doesn't mean that you can then excise politics from it because you are thinking of love or anything. You are a human being in society, and society is dominates.
So we can deduce that even love is entangled in the political.
Of course, you are a human being. You fall in love, and the person you fall in love with is also a human being, and both of you live in society. So there's no way you can avoid it.
Sir, founding a Pan-African organization like Center Stage Africa must have come with its own resistances, whether political bureaucracy or cultural limitations. What were the most formidable challenges you encountered in sustaining the vision?
The Center Stage Africa, I'm afraid, didn't exist for too long. The thing is that how to mobilize people, you need so many other resources and just your thinking, the ideology behind it. You need to get financial support, you need to get backing for so I'm afraid it didn't really materialize the way I wanted it. So it's mainly financial problems, because in those days, we had to do everything ourselves with our salary, printing papers, publishing this and that. It was all our own resources. So I'm afraid that's why it didn't get much. It didn't get the way I wanted it to go.
So you wouldn't agree that you were that the initiative was able to achieve its mission?
No, it didn't. I'm afraid. And of course, well, we made ourselves. We sought other avenues, all kinds of. It wasn't just the Center Stage Africa. We also had the Positive Review Group, the AFCON, all kinds of groups where we were. Just that particular initiative didn't go far.
Your career, sir, has traversed remarkable heights, such as serving as drama consultant at the Olympia at Atlanta, and getting other recognitions such as the Officier or National and the Nosdat Prize for African Literature, and your residency at DePaul University. So all of these, looking back at that journey to such international acclaim, what has it taught you? What has it taught you about not only about literary, the pressure to produce literary excellence, but also in terms of taking African stories to global stage?
Well, I don't know. It's a paradox. It's a paradox, I think. Because when I started, I really didn't care for international context. I wanted everything here because my own belief was that, if you want to change society, and then you must have an impact here. If you have an impact in New York and there's nothing here, so it dictated many things we did. We didn't look for international publishing or international audience and everything. It didn't matter to us. We did what we wanted to do here. And of course, there are consequences of that, so that we didn't get known, we didn't get published, so. But we were content to work here and get known here. So it was later that it began to appear to me that we did need these international collections because as the military grew more and more oppressive, it became more necessary to get support outside. If you were arrested here, and it's immediately in the New York Times or the Times of London, the military will not be comfortable. So that's why I began to lean towards the foreign press. Also, we needed money to get work, and the money came mainly from foreign support. If you are not known, then you don't get anything. So that was where I kind of began to think of foreign. But even then, to a limited extent, because you really must watch it. If you are writing for our audience here, there are certain things you can do. If you are writing for a more international audience, there are certain things you do. So, all this dictated what we did. But I won't finish that with that because, we were talking of the very beginnings of literature here. Most modern literature in English. That's post-independence literature. I think we were more or less the first generation of these post-independence writers. And, we were looking for all kinds of ways to make our literature positive and popular, to make people read us. And so we are searching for different styles, and even the language. We had to look for language. Shoyinka's generation had created an audience for literature outside. Achebe and Co. They were read
African literature.
Yes, African literature. But we wanted literature read by our people here. Because we didn't think the audience was very large then. So we were trying to search for all kinds of means of penetrating the audience here. So we had to look language-wise. We had to search for different language than Shoyinka's language, for example. And so these things were very, I don't know, it was challenging at that time. We had to speak differently. Even the publication, we were looking for, publication outlets here. How many publishers were there? Until Onibon started, for example. So all these things, time. Nowadays, there are several publishers.
Yes.
But in those days, we didn't have these publishers. The audience, yes, but so we were doing things. But what surprised me in the end was that, even as we tried to localize most of our work. It was there that it gained international audience. So it became very, very, it's a paradox, as I said, because the more local you are, the more international you become. It was the funny thing, I mean, think of Shakespeare. Shakespeare was not, writing for us. He was writing for his own society, his own audience. And look at it now. All of us. So it's not really, if you write authentically, with authenticity about your society, the more it's likely to attract other people.
International
So since we needed foreign support, and I began to look at that, to think, and I'm very happy, as I said. I've been one of the lucky ones, I've got several fellowships. I've been exposed to so many theater practices, so many, So this helped me a lot.
Speaking of language, sir, indigenous African language, you write about indigenous African experiences, especially Nigeria, but in English. In one of Professor Fashiona's works, in the assessment of Soyinka's language in his The Road, he said something about the anomaly that may ensue from forcing English language to express deep Africanism. Did you at any point in time go through such difficulty too, and how did you overcome it? How were you able to project original African ideas in a language that was naturally alien to us?
Well, you see, that's the challenge. That's the challenge of that we face, particularly as pioneering writers. How do you make your English sound Yoruba, like Yoruba English? So you have to develop all kinds of tactics. It's not. See, this language problem has been there for a long time. Here we are in a diverse country. So many languages. We have over 500 languages,
Yes.
Out of which we have 3 main languages spoken by over 20 million people. And yet, so this is the only language we speak all across the borders. This English.
Yes.
In fact, the English is what made us a country. Now, if you write your own language, there's a problem. First of all, not everybody was literate even in Yoruba. Not all Yorubas can read Yoruba. Even are willing to read. Or even Hausa. So now, you write in Hausa, people who are Igbo or something say, "Oh, it doesn't concern us." So if you want to write for the nation, you are bound to use the national language. Now, the language question is a problem because with the experience of other places like India, for example, once you try to choose one language, the others will kick. Why not our own? Imagine saying that Yoruba will be national language in Ghana. Can you imagine what problems we cause? So the politicians wisely decided, let's just leave this English. Now, English is what we communicate, but it's not our language. How many people speak it? But in those days, it was even worse. I mean, nowadays we have how many universities? Over 100. In those days, there was only one university. How many schools would you have? So you are writing a language that not many people in the country speak. So how do you address that? This was the problem we had. Now, if you write in your own language, then you fall into the hands of the politicians. Because this was what we were having. Politicians were misbehaving, and once you try to attack them, they go to the tribal argument to defend themselves. You see, why is attacking me because I'm Igbo? and he's attacking me because I'm Yoruba. After all, there are other people in his own area who are doing what? They didn't attack them. Hmm? They stole what? You attacking me now. So this ethnic thing became a messy thing. So, so we try. On the other hand, you can choose not to write. So what do you do? But Achebe said, well, I've been given this language and I intend to use it. So, this was what we try to do. Well, use a register of English that at least will be more accessible to the people.
To the people.
Yeah, don't use this high pollution English register that when people cannot understand, as they were accusing Shoika. But you see, Shoika's defense was that parallelly, if you take a deep, I don't know, maybe a ritual in Yoruba, not everybody will understand. It's just so if you use the equivalent in English, it's just going to be as tough as that. It will be comprehensive. On the other hand, should you water it down? You wouldn't water it down because then it becomes. So that's the problem we had. What we tried to do was to at least try to choose a register of English that will be less more accessible to people, less distant, without being simplistic. Because you can now go to the other and become idiotic. We won't go around, not everybody will speak it. And of course, you need the paradox. You are speaking about the poor people in a language they don't speak. So, this has always been there. How do you represent a peasant farmer on a stage? A peasant farmer speaking English. It becomes absurd, So you have to do all kinds of things to make it authentic. Use the paraphernalia of the ceremony, singing, people sing in their language, speaking Yorubas and so on. Use us, whereas even when they're using English. So try to indigenize as much as possible. But I don't think it's even. I don't think we have really to resolve that issue up to now.
So, still on language, following the campaign of recent past Professor Ngugiwa Thiong'o on using original African language to write, we now have many language activists, even young writers who are campaigning for using indigenous language to write, such as Razak Malik Palau, much younger. Given the circumstances, all the constraints around using Yoruba, for instance, to write, do you think that campaign holds any water, or can it even lead to any form of success?
Why not? You see, whatever language you write, if what you write is important enough, it will be translated. Think of so many other literatures that were not written in English first, but were then translated. So, but the point is that Google himself knew that in the end, you can't choose a language for a writer. This is the language you must write in. The writer will always choose the language best that he can control. And he knows he will write in that. But the problem is who then reads it? How do you get published? Now, Yoruba is not in that category, as you know. We have Yoruba publishers, we have Yoruba as well. I don't think we have that kind of threat that maybe Yoruba will die. But what of the other languages?
The minority.
Yes, the minority. In fact, there are many. So what do you do? Yoruba can survive. I didn't think it was I don't I don't write in Yoruba just for. Ngugi had a problem, at least where he was. He could write in his Kikuyu because it would get translated. He translated it himself immediately and get the publisher. But how many Kikuyu readers are there? Even in the spring, some people were saying he was trying to impose Kikuyu on them. Kikuyu, those who were not Yoruba. So, so it's a problem. But I myself just think that writers should write in whatever languages they write, they feel at ease in. If what you are writing is important enough, you will find it will be translated. There will be no problem. Yoruba is not that. Well, the only reason I decided to write in Yoruba is that, not because the language will die or anything, but because I was in hospital many years ago now, I can't remember. And so I was forced to watch television. Now, television is something I don't normally watch because I don't even have time for that. I'm so busy. But because I was in hospital, I was bedridden, I had to watch television. So throughout that week, I was watching Yoruba plays, and I was so shocked by the amount of sexism in those plays. Everything is almost against women. All the villains are women. This one is this woman, do that. Shut up. I don't know whether you watch Yoruba films. They are so backward. They are thinking, the traditional ways must prostitution, and then, well, if it's not the devil or something that comes up, everything is resolved by Christianity. The Bible tells everything. Oh, no. So, so sexy, so parochial, so that when I knew that we're in danger. If we don't write in Yoruba, we leave the fields to this. They write like that because they think it will sell, so that's what ritual and everything. So, but we have to counter that because it's a false picture of things. And if you think of it, the Bible is translated into Yoruba, but how many people have translated Karl Marx?
Yeah.
The progressive books, how many of them you find in Yoruba? So people, they don't read them in Yoruba, so it's the negative ones that they keep reading, and that's what dictates what they believe. And that's when I decided that whoa, some of us must write in Yoruba to counter this very ideological backwardness.
Professor, in your reference to the female friend who challenged your capacity for personal enjoyment, you referred to as our female friend. So that kind of language suggests a kind of a community. So would you tell us about who the our actually captures, and how would you describe your relationship with them, especially if they were part of your formative years?
This was, well, in those days, I don't know, it's difficult to imagine, but this was quite a group, minority group, not like, who are committed to socialist. And so we met. Of course, it doesn't mean that all of us really held the same views all the time, But we had similar views and everything. And we argued and among ourselves. So you had some females there. I don't even know who among them said this, and whether the person really belonged to the group. But you know, while arguing, you people are always angry, you know.